Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hey everyone, it's Chatting with Nat. Yes, it's Natalie Jean, it's Natalie Jean, and today we have alt pop rock electronic singer-songwriter April Henry, and she does way more than that. So I'm going to put what she gave me here. April Henry is an LA-based alt pop rock electronic singer-songwriter, the voice makeover coach who can free your voice and empower your energy in life. And from her website, singing in Japanese, Bulgarian, Spanish, Italian, French, German, mostly English in the woods, in the streets, in the shower, in bars, nightclubs, and theaters, trotting around the world with a big smile and very big hair. This is April Henry. Her genres are as wide-ranging as the artists who have influenced her as a songwriter and performer, from Billie Holiday and Tina Turner to Cyndi Lauper, David Bowie, Florence and the Machine, and Lana Del Rey to Janelle Monae. From tender whispers to the anthemic pouring out of a song, April is interested in the raw nerve that connects us as human beings. She moves from sultry, soulful ballads and fragile torch songs to bright and sparkly pop tunes, or the driving beat of a dance remix, and everything in between. Called a funny, fierce force of nature by reviewers, she explores polarity and humor. Just when you think you've defined her niche, she can surprise you with something completely different, yet always April. An award-winning artist, garnering accolades in both singer and songwriter categories in the prestigious International Songwriting Competition, ISC. Among others, April's talents have been recognized by industry luminaries such as Peter Gabriel, Tom Waits, Adele, Robert Smith, and Epic Records president Amanda Ghost. In opening for artists like Michelle Branson and Gavin DeGraw, she uses her particular brand of theatricality. My God, I can't even. Theatricality. My French just gets in the way. And a high-octane vocal to take audiences on an almost otherworldly roller coaster. That was a mouthful, but I chose it. And here we have April Henry.
To hire someone else to say all those nice things about me and write them down.
You didn't write those things?
I wrote a very different version of that, and luckily I have a lot of friends in marketing because I used to work in marketing. It's the strangest thing being in an industry where you're like, I know I'm supposed to tout myself, put myself out there, but it's interesting. I think you need friends to sometimes do that.
Oh, amen to that. No, I mean that was beautiful. I love your bio. I mean, I didn't even know that you can sing in all these languages. Good for you. Another world artist that I can link up with that sings. Well, you sing way more languages than I can.
No, it's not even that. It's like I'm sure you can too. It's just something you have to actually take your time. I think singers, vocalists of all kinds, like actors, do accents. Singers do accents as well. And so we understand placement. So it's just something you learn it and you adapt. We're just naturally, you can learn it easily. It's just a matter of putting the effort in to change the shape of what it is stating, right?
Hey, I agree with you. I mean, I'm trying. Yes, Lord Jesus. I definitely think I could do Italian because I can sing in Spanish. I can't write it, but I can sing in it and I understand it when I read it. And people are always like, how do you do that? Because it's so close to French for me.
French is really difficult. Actually, that's one that I have probably the hardest time with because it's very nuanced, and like knowing the difference of how to sing versus, how to speak it. I mean, I have not a bad French accent, so when I wanted to imitate the French accent, there are many different French accents, and so if you come from the south, it's a little bit more like this is a little deeper, this is more like from Marseille, this kind of sounds, right? But if you go to more of a Parisian, it's a bit more on the lips, and a little bit more lighter like this. And so it's interesting. It's the same. It's very similar with the Irish accent versus the Scottish. It's like, if you're doing the talk in the Scottish, it's a bit deeper like this, right? And so it's like, but when you do the Irish, it's the tip of the tongue. So that all applies to how you sing something. Like there are certain cadences, rhythms, and so yeah, it's crazy because you just got to listen and hear it and then imitate it. That's really all it is.
Oh my goodness! Well, maybe I'm going to try these other languages. But I would like to learn how to speak some of these languages. I like the Japanese and Italian. I need to brush up on, add some more languages to learn on to add to my resume. Would be awesome. So how have you been doing during this entire pandemic crazy time?
Oh my goddess, it's been insane. So I've been adapting, redefining. I've been phoenixing out in so many ways, and letting go and just activating new information. So it's been kind of a mind bender. It's been kind of a lot of explosion. To get specific, at the beginning of 2019, or at the end of 2019, my life pretty much exploded, and my best friend, my partner, he almost died. So that was before COVID hit. So we were going through a lot of stuff, and in and out, like he was hospitalized and doing all that. So by the time, and I had kind of been through a bit of a nervous breakdown before COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I had already released. I had stuff to work out still, but I kind of was in this place of peace, of just like, there is only so much I can do. There's only so much I can handle. And there's only, I can't let the world and the situations that are happening around me rob me of my peace. I cannot let any of this rob me of my love and my devotion to what it is that I am meant to give as a gift on this planet. And that is the hardest thing, I think, as a musician, as a vocalist, or a vocal teacher, as an actor, as a creative. But then it was so gratifying because I saw what we were worth, that we were so many people hope and value in a time where people were losing their jobs, they were losing their homes, they were losing their loved ones. And what do we turn to? We turn to each other. We turn to human understanding and elevation, and we got to lift our vibes. And even in the sorrowful, especially in the sorrowful times, we got to turn to laughter. And we got to turn to our grief in reality and just really sit in it sometimes. And you need that song, pull it out of you, and that you can just dance into it. You dance your grief out. And I learned how to be so powerful this year, not just on my own, but with others, and having, just radical compassion.
Yeah,
so,
no. Yeah, it's so I did see a lot of your posts, and I know some of the stuff that you went through, and I'm hoping and that your partner is okay now or getting better. Because I know
he's about to get a transplant, double transplant at some point within this year, we're hoping. So that's fingers crossed. Everything is crossed. Yeah. And so that's the thing, is you just, there was a point at which I felt like I was losing everything. And, but it's a feeling, and that at a certain point you realize you just don't have control over very much. It's not like you think. I thought I had control over certain things that I had no control over. You just do your best, and you try to you investigate as far as you can. And you got to let a lot of things go. And so that was my learning experience with all that,
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. You know, the during the pandemic, I got COVID, so and I'm
Oh,
still
wow.
dealing with health issues because of it. And you know, there's
Wow.
the pandemic allowed you to have a lot of introspection and self reflection. And you know, one
Yep.
of the things I did is I actually quit my job because I felt like you know, and I like working at my job. I like dealing with the people and that we do. Worked in real estate and had to deal with a lot with the tenants and stuff like that, and did compliance stuff. But I
Mm.
realized I wanted to be in an environment where I'm doing something that I love. I think it's important that we do stuff that we love. We surround ourselves with the things that we love, and that we're happy.
Yeah.
Happiness is the key to everything. And so, you know, after a lot of stuff, reflection, I'm like, oh, Natalie, you don't have any money. Can you do this? I don't care. Natalie needs to have. I had, yeah, I had to get away from the stress because the stress, a lot of stress was killing me with the COVID and all kinds of other stuff that I'm going through, and I just had to release. So yeah, I agree with you. During the pandemic, we've learned a lot about ourselves, and we learned about what is important in life.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. I'm so sorry that you're going through that, and I totally get it. Like that, what you're going through with the happiness, the currency of it's so funny. I just did this incredible. We call it the Female Leadership Breakthrough. We
yeah,
did an online summit, and there was so much wisdom from women, and just about like between grind and joy, and like women, we operate off of so much. We require joy as a reward for
right,
going through this life. So much pain, and there's so much suffering that all of us endure in each in our own way,
right.
and we have to make it worthwhile. If it's not worthwhile, why are we doing this thing day after day, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Amen. So during all of this craziness, were you able to do any type of live streaming?
Yes, actually, in while I was amidst all that insanity, getting back to the joy, as I realized I have to sing because it's part of my mental health. It's part of who I am as a person. And anyone who knows me, if I ever stopped singing, if I ever quit being an artist or a performer, it's like they wouldn't know who I am anymore, and I wouldn't know who I was anymore. So it's like, I'm not going to stop doing this just because there's limitations. I'm going to work with those limitations. So I created something called the Apocalypse Cafe and the Quarantine Cabaret.
Yeah.
And I was live streaming events with like a live band. We were all socially distanced. I was sanitizing the hell out of everything, and just having my own little production team of what I was doing. And in my backyard, my back courtyard. And then I did another stream of a live event in my friend's backyard as well. She has a huge, backyard. We did a drive-in, and we did I filmed all these skits like around my neighborhood and doing comedy, and so we had people show up and buy tickets, and it was really, because I said, I want to do a drive-in. That was something I wanted to do, and I had some people that I had talked to about it, and things didn't work out. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to scale it down. I'm just going to make it super simple, and I'm going to do it one way or the other. And
Right.
so I think that's been kind of attitude with everything. It's just like, I'm going to scale it if it's, make it smaller. And that's been my success in anything, is if I can simplify something, if I can distill it down, then it's going to be more effective. It's going to happen.
And I love that. I'm so grateful and honored to know you. And I know I met you through Suzanne Grazana. Oh, I can't even remember how to say her damn last name. Grazana. Who I'm going to see this weekend because we're both attending our friend Kit Wakely's concert. But and we had such a good time at the Hollywood at the HMMAs.
My God, that was amazing. I have so many great pics of us that we'll blackmail you with later.
We had such a good time. And you know what's funny? And I'll tell you this. I had I had some male friends that saw some of those pictures and they unfriended me. This is how stupid people are.
Are you
I am
serious?
not going to be, because I don't know. They probably saw these three women together and stuff like, you know how people are stupid, but or ignorant. I just laugh at that stuff. I laugh at that stuff because they think that me, Natalie, who they know is very vocal, is not going to bow down what you want me to be. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to have fun with my friends. You don't like it? You know where you can go.
Wow,
yeah.
That's so wow. You know, I've experienced a lot of that too, to be real. And I just find it to be like, I want to be myself. And if you don't like who my authentic self is, that's just a comment on how you feel about yourself, because we're all one. You know, we're all one. And if you don't want to have ownership of that relationship, I totally respect that. Right. But the people are just so, like you said, they choose it. If you want to choose ignorance about something, I respect that. I choose bliss. You choose bliss. We're going to just be like us, you know?
Amen. Amen. And we had so much fun taking all of those pictures, acting crazy. I love those. I posted those pictures. I was proud of those pictures, and I'm still proud of those pictures because you know what? We were being authentic. We were being real. We were being silly. We were in a moment of joy. So if somebody tries to take that away from me, you know what? You're not going to be able to do it because I'm secure. Don't need that. Don't need you in my life. So yes. So I'm honored to have you in my life. I just want to let you know that.
Oh, I'm so honored here, and thank you for asking me to be here. It's just it's so much fun just having like real sisters. You know what I mean? Like that. I'm really building up the sisterhood and I've been needing that for 5 years already, and it's really challenging. And one of the things we approached a lot in the Female Leadership Breakthrough was exactly about that, and how challenging it is to have female relationships that are supportive and where people are not, because we've been separated from each other and we've been separated from ourselves in certain aspects of our culture. And some people call that patriarchy or whatever you call it. But it's funny because as women, I believe we've also enabled certain things. And we've also we make these choices. So it's not like us against men. I don't that thing that most, like extreme feminists will do. I just say, okay, well, this is the way I choose to express myself. This is the way, and I'm working through stuff too. I'm still going through generational traumas. You're still going through generational traumas. We've got to listen. We've got to find things out. We've got to investigate. We got to be like Jacques Cousteau here. We're not here to judge each other. We're not here to throw shade on each other. We're here to figure things out,
Amen. Amen. Preach. Now, let's get to your music. How would you describe your music?
So that's a very I look at music. I know it's weird. So I consider myself alternative pop.
Okay.
And the reason is because at my heart, I'm a rocker, but when people see me, they see the smile, they see my, but they also see I'm a warrior too. And so part of me is locked into this rock as a warrior, because that's a part of my personality that, a lot of people at some point will see. But in truth, the alternative is very much, because I think all music is alternative music at some point. It all becomes popular. Whether or not it becomes popular as a style is up to the masses or the population, right? But I think at some point everything was niche. Everything was alternative music in terms of that, and then it becomes popular. So for me, there are no real genres. I mix even some trip hop or hip hop sometimes in my music, and you'll hear it. And I love good music, so I seek to create good music. But sometimes I like electronic. Sometimes I like to do electroacoustic. I'm very experimental, and I love collaborating with people and creating things that have never been done before or never in that direction, or you know what I mean, just experimental. I love that.
And I love that about you, because you're the same like me, because I like to do different things with my music. Like I like to put weird stuff in it, like things that people don't even think about putting in their music, just to be different. I think like telling people are craving something different than the same stuff that we listen to on the radio. I mean, the stuff on the radio is obviously not bad, but it's the same old, same old, same old, same old, same old. It's pay to play.
Yeah.
Independent artists don't have that much money to be able to pay to play to get their music on there. But, you know, what they'll realize eventually is that people are tired of hearing about the same artist. People are craving for something different, new, and fresh. And so I'm imploring all media, radio stations, just take 15 minutes, a 30-minute show. Introduce 3, 5 artists. Just play their song once. It's not going to kill you. It won't hurt you. It might actually help the station. Because we're out here busting our butts trying to do everything on our own, trying to be seen and heard, and we're going to get there, whether they like it or not. What was the moment? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. What was the moment where you were like, whoa, music is my thing. I've got to do it?
Well, I was singing before I was talking. I was 2 years old in the backseat of my parents' car, so that just kind of started. And then I was harmonizing by the time I was 5, and because we're a big musical family, so that was always part of the deal. And my grandfather, when I was 8 years old, he wanted me to be the attorney family because none of his sons decided to be attorneys. And they all went to creative professions. And I said, yes, Pappy, I will be a singing attorney. And so it became a thing where, you know, I realized being a freedom fighter, being an activist was always part of my journey too, and fighting for being the voice for people who didn't have a voice. And so that's always been a part of my performance and my singing, is that I think you can reach people similarly, you know, beyond law.
Right.
And you can reach people's hearts. You can reach people's minds. You can change arguments and the perspective on an argument with your music, with your film, with your music videos. Like, you can really, and you know you do this. And so it's fascinating to me what you can do with edutainment. And so, yeah, there's always a part of me that's asking questions. So I love this. This started early. There was never a point where I think I didn't want to be a singer. I didn't know I was one. I think I always knew.
I love that. What is your writing process like, and how do you deal with, keep saying roadblock. It's a certain type of roadblock. How do you deal with writer's block?
Well, you know, it's fascinating because I think I've been doing this for so long. I mean, I've been writing songs since I was like 11. So when I used to write, you know, it would either be like I would write a full song, like pretty much like the melody and lyrics, and like within 20 minutes, and it would be finished. And then later I would come back to it and decide, okay, what are the chords that I hear in my head? What fits with this melody, right?
Right.
But there's also the George, I think it was Irving Berlin, who had a method that he had developed that I found out about later. But it's something that actually I did quite by accident. And people do accidentally when you create a track. You can create a melody within a track, but you can also take that, create a different track around it, right? So you can invert that. So I think really getting neuroplastic about how you want to approach it, and just deciding, if you're feeling blocked on something, flip it inside out, turn it around, and just doing something completely different and going a different direction will sometimes just, and then you come back to it, or take a break for like 20 minutes or a day or whatever it is. Like, that's been, at certain times, that was my deal. But recently, I will sometimes implore those methods, but at the same time, what I do is when I'm in the middle of something and I'm feeling something, like, and when I'm in the core of that emotion, I feel it in my gut. When I'm really writing something that I need to say, and I think that's really what I've hooked into over the years, is listening, like feeling my gut and knowing as I'm writing what I'm writing, what is it I need to say? Not what I want to say. What do I need to say? And whatever comes out, even if it's rudimentary or it doesn't, it can't be overly intellectual. It has to be in the zone of the feeling. If it goes outside the feeling, it's not powerful enough. Right. And so that's what I lock into. And anytime I stray off of that, if I find that I'm not in the mood to write anymore, okay, I can't handle the emotion, or I don't want to finish that, take a break. I go drink some water. I go eat a little something, take a walk, take a shower, and then, come back to it and look at it. Look at the whole thing and see what it makes me feel. And if it makes me feel, if it goes back into that place, then I know I've written something good.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now we're going to play your song, Symphony of Me. Tell me what that's about.
So I like when people make interpretations of things, for sure. So I'm not too much about what it's about, but that's a song I created about, it was probably like 6 years ago, and it was kind of a social commentary piece. And it's funny because it was made to be like a pop song, but almost social commentary on, like the year of the selfie and all of this, like what it means to embrace who you are as a person in the public eye, and are we stars in our own minds, and what that means, and going through our culture, so it was more, and also like self-love. So it was kind of this borderline between narcissism and self-love, and that's more or less what the song is about, and how we judge others if, for being beautiful, or for being silly, or for being this, or for being that. And yet we expect, love ourselves and to not be judged, and kind of what that's all about, and what we are inside of our own minds as being very different from what we are outside of that Instagram kind of like social media world. We're so different on the outside. It's all a big show. So that was more or less what that piece was about.
Awesome sauce. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, and then we'll play the song. Hold on.
Hi, this is Nikki Chris, and I host a podcast called Mixin' It. Mixin' It focuses on women in the music, entertainment, and the performing arts. Our goal is to provide an avenue for industry veterans and up-and-coming artists, musicians, engineers, and producers to showcase their talent. Listen to Mixin' It on Monday Music Madness at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sim Radio Network.
A symphony of me is what I'd rather be, who I'd rather be for now. The shallows on the down low, I can hear it somehow knocking down your door. But someone on my coat, no waiting to adore her, seeing what he sees for now. It's something to the words, once you don't know her, but once you know it's gonna burn. A symphony of me is what I'd rather be, who I'd rather be for now.
kind of groovy, jazzy. It's all kind of poppy in there. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Thanks. See, that's what I love about the song too, is that it's like I kind of originally wrote that for a product as well on spec. And started writing it on spec, and then it just kind of grew out. We grew it out with this really talented composer, Gregory Norman Paulzak, and he works on all these huge movies and stuff right now, doing soundtrack stuff, creating music, composing. And it was such a blessing to work with him on it and to co-create it with him, because I have this, he has this knowledge of like the commercial world and working and doing that kind of thing. And I think it worked perfectly because I love mixing genres. So he knew how to make that a little more pop, a little more commercially sounding and commercially viable. And so I love like when hip hop and rock and pop and all these different things blend, because I don't think music is necessarily meant to be segregated. Right. Like, I don't like when people say, oh, you know, you're you know, you have to be this because you kind of give this energy or this vibe. It's like when I look at David Bowie, you know, he was on the train, you know, and like, it's like you don't, the less divisions we have, the more music, I think, should remind us of how connected we are to each other and how we should cross-pollinate. We should just be with each other, you know?
Amen. Amen, sister. What do you enjoy most about being an artist?
The freedom.
Freedom. The freedom. Yes, yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's like, well, I'll elaborate that in a very quick sentence. So during this pandemic, I had the freedom to create, whereas I felt a lot of friends that I have that are in different industries, they felt a little bit more trapped, or like they were able to create. And I felt like, well, I'm a creative person, and that gives me just this currency of I can create out of limitation. And so I think we're all all have that capacity, but I think artists are just professionally attuned to that. Does that make sense?
That's true. That's so true. Yeah. I mean, I love the way that music makes other people feel like when you're performing and it makes a difference in somebody else's life. That is just like the best thing ever. Because for me, sometimes on a daily basis, I'm like, nope, don't want to do this music thing. And then something will happen where somebody will send me an email or write to me or whatever and say, or call me and say, you know, this really touched me. I keep doing your thing. And I'm like, okay, universe, you're telling me to continue this thing. At least it needs the money to continue this thing. But I'm on the right track, so I continue with it. Always. It always happens like that. Every time I'm just like, that's it. I'm done. I can't deal with these people anymore. But you know, music has been my saving grace, so I'm very thankful. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I think I was caught up in being too independent in the beginning, and I wanted something for my own because I saw what happened with my parents, and that they were, you know, musicians working together, and they ended up in divorce, and I saw a lot in the industry of how my parents handled it. They became, you know, one-man bands, but they were actually aspiring songwriters, and they were going back and forth to Nashville. They almost signed a deal with Marty Robbins' label, and they were, you know, they performed gospel and country music at the Grand Ole Opry, and like they did. My dad was conducting the orchestra. My mom sang opening for like Sandy Patty, and you know, like I remember being in the wings watching my parents at the Grand Ole Opry or the Grand Ole Gospel, because they were singing gospel, and I remembered it was so beautiful and it was so joyful watching my parents live their dreams, you know. But then my mom felt like she didn't really, I think, get what she wanted out of the situation when my dad decided not to. My dad said, we can't sign this contract with Marty Robbins' label because if our songs don't make any money, they could take our home,
Right.
And so I had this, and then they became, one-man bands and doing, like weddings, bar mitzvahs, and then that sort of thing. And that wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad thing. But I think I always had this trepidation, and I still have it today. I don't really want to, and we're living in a time where I think my parents would have really flourished, because my dad always had that like independent, kind of mindset, but there were no really avenues besides what he decided to do, but he had a family and that was important to him. And so I think the part of me that locked into my mom was that she really wanted to take that shot. She wanted to take that chance and go bold. And I think part of me is kind of lodged in between those two things at times. And I think I was independent in some ways that I maybe should have been a little more cooperative. And
right.
I was cooperative in some ways that I probably should have been a little more independent. So I think just have of that industry, but you can't go back and say, oh, I wish I would have done something differently, because music has been crazy for a while.
Yeah. Amen.
We're all learning,
Yeah, we're constantly learning on a daily basis. I mean, music has changed over the years, obviously. Now we have to be on all these damn platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, this, that, blah, blah, blah. There's not enough time in the day. I did this conference on TikTok, and they say, oh, you should do 5 videos a day. Who the hell has that much time? I don't. It takes me at least 2 months, 3 months. I'm like, okay, let me do something on TikTok. Now, I do put some of these, when I do an IG Live, I put those on TikTok to promote the other people, blah, 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 and stuff like that for Sisters in Music. But people need to understand, and I say this every single time, this business is a hard business. A lot of work. Just anybody that's trying to get into it, it's a lot of work. Let's be mindful of that. It's not like you're going to write a song one day and you're just going to be this major star. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't.
No, that does happen. It's like, there's so many things that go into that, and and it's a lot of work. It is really a lot of work. It's not very glamorous. We have glamorous moments, which is why sometimes it's really, don't you find it interesting and disappointing when, your friends, like, they just don't really take as much joy in it sometimes as you, and I think that's something that I had to learn too, is just that, what, I'm doing this because this is what I was born to do. And for my actual fans that are out there, I'm not doing this for my friends. I'm not doing this, I'm doing this for myself and for those who connect with my messaging and for those who connect with what and I'm about to do something really bold. I'm about to do some really big stuff. I'm working now with a Grammy nominated producer, and he's amazing, and he does other things in tech, and but it's not like it's big in like that way. You know what I mean? It's small, really. It's like, it's not about the PR. It's not about the Grammy nominations. It's not about all this stuff. It's working with people who get what you want to do. They can help you create what you want to create and reach to the audience that will understand you and will vibe to you. And that's ultimately what it's all about.
Preach it. That is what it is. Ultimately, that's what it is. Tell us about the voice makeover coaching that you do.
So I had people come up to me as a singer and ask me, who were non-singers,
right,
to teach them if I could teach them to sing. And I said, yeah. And it's funny because ever since I was little, people have always come just up to me and said, gosh, I wish I could sing like that. And I said, well, you can sing, you can learn, and I always innately knew that because I'm always changing my voice and shifting my voice. And as a voiceover artist who, you know, and an actor, I was actually quiet. I was a child who had kind of overconfidence and then underconfidence. I had some battles with that and anxiety, depression. So, you know, I understood what it was like to be a wallflower, and I was a wallflower. People actually thought they would come up to me and they were, you know, after I would sing, but they often thought I was a snob or something like that in high school because I didn't talk to anybody. And I kind of stood in what I was trying to be confident, but the truth was I wasn't a snob, and they would talk to me and I would just be open like a book, and they would say, "Oh my God, I thought you were a snob," and I would say, "Oh, why would you think that? Because you would just look so confident," you know. And I realized, you know, everybody has a voice that needs to come out, and they don't know how to do it. And so over the years, I learned how to be friendly and how to make friends. And because I was this traumatized child, I didn't really know how to do it. And so I learned how to acquire confidence. I learned how to acquire having confidence in how I speak and what I say. And it's sometimes still a challenge at times. I had painful stage fright, but now I don't anymore. And I could just get up on a stage and do something and just, you know, do it. And it took a lot of practice doing that. And so I really took joy when people would come to me and say, "Could you teach me that?" I get really excited. And I'll say, yes, I can teach you how to do that because I did it for me, you know?
Right. No, I get that. I used to, you know, before I got in the industry, I was just like, oh my God, how am I going to get on stage in front of people? Because people are just, they don't believe me, but I was an extreme introvert. I was extremely shy growing up. And, you know, at one point I just said, screw it. I'm going to have fun on this stage. I'm going to give them all the love that I have. They're going to have a good time, and that's all that I can do. And once I changed that mindset, I was just like, I'm ready to dance. I'm ready to groove. I'm ready to sing. And it's because I actually love the aspect of performing like that.
Yeah, so. and what's fascinating about that is that, and that's where I like to really create in terms of the voice makeover, I like to tell people, okay, when you're with me, when you're in a class, you're not performing, you're learning, okay?
Right.
So the thing, you know, and that's really important to remember because people need to deal with their inner critic, and that's the inner voice training that I work on. I also call myself a creativity coach or a lifestyle coach for that reason, because I often work with people in mindset. I've done so much personal growth over the years that it's like, I know I'm a coach. You know, I've always been a coach. It's just something that came naturally to me. So it's something that comes out when I'm teaching people and how to become more neuroplastic. So when I'm talking to their critic, you know, that's the first voice that I'm actually working on, because once you learn how to talk to yourself and how to learn better, suddenly you start growing exponentially, and you realize so many possibilities that your voice has. Even the way I'm speaking right now, if I wanted to slow down and draw you in and allow you to embrace the vibration of what's about to go down, right? I would just slow it way down, because then you go into receptive learning, right? I'm not like shouting, I'm inviting them in, right? And there's all these different things that we can be aware of, both as a singer and as a performer. But we're all, when we're in front of people, there's an aspect of performing, but there's some people who have different styles, and learning what feels authentic to you is just as important. Like Natalie Jean is not going to be the same as April Henry. We're going to be two different people. So learning what works for you is where one-on-one coaching really helps. Whereas you could go to a seminar, you could go to there's plenty of vocal coachings that you can get, you know, for stipend, online. You could pay for that, but they're not going to tell you about you, and they're not going to tell you about what is authentic to you. And that's why it's really important to have, at least for 4 coachings, I always tell my students, I'm like, look, if you want to commit to a workshop with me, I do one-on-ones, because I want you to connect with your inner voice, your inner critic, and I want you then to learn. And then they start learning exponentially and having that confidence. Once you have that confidence, you start to speak differently. Sometimes it happens in one lesson. And so that's what I love. I love watching people phoenix out and transform by embracing who they are, you know?
Right. No, I get that. And I love that too. I love people discovering and enjoying anything that they do. It's an amazing thing to see. And you can get off of that vibration too. What is one quote or message that you live by?
Well, if you're going through hell, keep going.
That's right.
That's the good old Winston Churchill. And then the other is, God, there are so many good ones, and I've just been on them lately. Oh, God, this quote is really good. So those who are different change the world. Those who are the same keep it that way.
Oh, that's perfect.
And what I love about that quote is it's non-demeaning to either side. It means that there's a place for conservative thinking. There's a place for liberal thinking. There is a place for all kinds of thinking and ways and behavior patterns. You know, it's just, where does that belong? Okay, there's offensive aspects to that we, shouldn't delve into, but those shouldn't exist. Those are what we're working on. But in the positive, when we're focusing on the positive, there are things that should remain the same, right? And there are things that could be changed, right?
Right.
So it's not judgmental. It's just, that is what it is. We have to appreciate that we need roots, and that we also need branches and trunk.
Great. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh my God, April, it was so great chatting with you. I miss you. You're in that hair. We didn't talk about your hair, but that hair is amazing, people. If you ever meet April Henry, her hair is her. She's beautiful. This is a very beautiful woman. Beautiful.
You're beautiful.
No, your beauty is beyond beauty. It's just, oh my God. Your beauty plus your personality and your free spirit, you are just a beautiful, empowered goddess to me.
Oh, thank you, my beautiful goddess, Natalie Jean. You strengthen us with all of your goddessity.
Oh my gosh. And when I see Suzanne, I'm going to say, you know what? I got to thank you once again for allowing me to be in the presence of April Henry, because you are just you're amazing. I'm going to tell her. I am. Don't worry. I'm going to tell her.
Thank you, Natalie Jean. I'm honored in your presence, and girl, you've been on Billboard. You're killing it. You're killing it in all your awards. You're doing amazing things, and I'm so honored to know you, and I can't wait to do more good things, amazing things with you, to support you when you do them on your own. And thank you for my goddess, sister goddess.
Oh, thank you. All righty. Well, everyone, that was, oh my God, the amazingly talented April Henry. She's awesome. You got to find her. Google her. Just Google her. You'll find her, and you'll love her. You'll love everything.
I'm pretty everywhere ubiquitously at April Henry Music. So
there you go. She just said it. And that was April Henry. I hope you just go to her website. Just find her. You'll see the hair. You'll see the beauty. You'll see everything that she does. She's just an amazing spirit. And until next time on Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.